Welcome back. As we said, we are going to cover together the latest developments in Gaza, and as we speak now, the trucks loaded with humanitarian aid began moving toward Gaza from Egypt. And this is the fruits and the fruitful outcome of all efforts exerted by the mediators to make sure that the Gazans are not going to suffer anymore, or at least what's taking place right now is to decrease their sufferings and to not to let the Israeli side use starvation as a weapon in their genocide war, which lasted for more than 21 months right now. And there are a lot of other events which are taking place even as we speak. So to cover all this, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Sir, I should say first, congratulations. Congratulations to humanity. Congratulations to the Arabs. Congratulations to Egypt. Congratulations to any human being for when we know that as we speak the trucks began moving from Egypt to Gaza and to decrease the sufferings of the Gazans with loads and tons of humanitarian aid to reach those who are suffering under the block since March by the Israeli side. If you want to elaborate on that.
Yes, of course. At least we can have a long breeze now. We were very aware about the situation in Gaza, which is not at all accepted by any humanitarian level. And the whole world is against it. Maybe I see that, of course, many or some countries have the double face policies. They are rejecting the hunger war. Same time, they are helping those who are committing this crime by money, by weapons, and by support.
Yeah.
But relatively, the Palestinian question is making success in some areas, especially on the international level, where plenty of countries are voting for the sake of establishing a Palestinian state on the border of 4th
of June 1967.
67. Also, the regional groups are supporting the Palestinians, especially whether it is the Arab League countries or the Islamic countries, or, and above all, the African Union. The African Union invited the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, to be a witness in their meetings. Same time, they stopped the Israeli ambassador to be present. And the 51 countries are voting with the idea of the two-state solution.
Yeah, and yesterday President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received a phone call from his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, as the two leaders, in addition, of course, hailing the deeply rooted ties that bind the two nations, they spoke in specific about France's intention to recognize the Palestinian state next September, inshallah, in the UN General Assembly meetings. And also today there are calls inside the UK, inside Britain, to do so. So how do you see the international community's move, and with countries like France and like the UK, how do you see the value of this, if this is happening on the ground? To what extent this is going to help the Palestinian cause and pressure Israel to implement the two-state solution?
Of course, it has its meaning on the international level. It has its pressure on the Israeli government. But I am a little bit reserved concerning the government of Israel, because they will continue the war under any situation. But anyway, the French declaration is very good. Then Britain will follow. Germany is not far away from that, and those are the largest 3 countries in the European Union. Many countries in Europe maybe will support these steps.
Yeah.
And by the way, those who are calling on the two-state solution many of them are friends to Israel, because if you think about one state, one day in the coming few years, the Palestinian will be a majority in their own country. We have now the opposite migration from Israel. 500,000 Israelis left the country because they see that it's not the paradise anymore.
Yeah.
And their original countries are much better for their living time. So one day, if you just, I always repeat this, just if we close our eyes for the coming 10 years, this problem will vanish. And something we are not aware about it, that the Oslo Treaty between Yasser Arafat and Rabin and Shimon Peres, it gives the Palestinian a state behind the border of 4th of June 67. Now the Prime Minister of Israel is denying this. He is denying that there is resolutions for the United Nations that the Israeli troops withdraw from the Golan Heights. So what future this Prime Minister is expecting for his country, while he's creating more and more enemies to his country? All the borders of Israel are not friendly at all.
Yeah.
And Israel is a relatively small country. They cannot commit a war for a long time. They cannot commit a war in different fronts. That's why they start to feel not easy, and they feel weakness because they cannot stop their life totally and just continue committing the war. So let us wait and see. But I am a little bit reserved about the reaction of the Israeli government.
Okay, sir, but also yesterday during the phone call between President Sisi and his French counterpart, the president really hailed the Saudi-French initiative to hold high-level conference in New York to discuss the situation in Gaza, or the Palestinian cause in general, and try to reach a peaceful solution to the current crisis. And as we speak, Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati is on his way to New York to participate in this conference. Your expectations about this conference, sir?
We are practicing a very active diplomacy all over the world. Not only this conference, but many, many occasions we have participated or invited for. So such a conference, it's good because it is inside the United States and very near to the United Nations organization. So it will be under the light of the mass media. Many people will see the realities. So it is one big effort also. And really I admire what the President and the Egyptian government and Badr Abdulati are doing. They do not sleep. I follow him from 1 hour to another. Either he receives phone calls from his counterparts, or he's calling them, or be present in the conferences to support this question. God help them all, and God help us in order to find a solution to those victims of this Israeli aggression.
To stop this madness, this is absurdity or madness. I mean, nobody could imagine that the Israeli genocide war is going to continue for more than 21 months and to kill more than 58,000 Palestinians, mostly women, children and minors, and to have the death traps for the food seekers. But, sir, I'd like, if you permit me, to focus a little bit on what's going on inside the UK, because according to my knowledge, and would you please correct me if I'm wrong, this is the very first time when inside the UK Parliament there are parties who threaten to do whatever it takes to push Starmer to the UK Prime Minister, of course, to recognize Palestine as an independent state. And what's going on also on the ground, that there are people demonstrating against American President Donald Trump's visit to the UK, and they were carrying slogans, "Free Palestine, Free Gaza." How do you see this? I mean, the people and the government or the parliament in UK.
Of course, I see all these matters as a positive move concerning the Palestinian question. Same time, I do not forget that Israel was established after two initiatives. The Napoleon initiative, when he failed to enter Raqqa, and he invited the Jewish community from Europe to come and occupy this part of the world. Another, which is what Lord Balfour, who
Declaration.
promised to Israel to be a state there. And it's not a secret that the whole Western countries are benefiting from Israel being there. It separates the Arab world from East and West. It is a soldier of the area. It exhausted our efforts, and the actor behind the scene is a weapon industry. Mm-hmm. And I told you before that it was President Eisenhower in his last speech. He warned us of the impact of the weapon industry on the decision maker in the whole world, because a few days ago the newspapers announced that last year there were $10 trillion of weapons were sold all over the world.
Yeah.
Nobody will sacrifice this for the sake of Palestine. So I have to be optimistic, but we have not to forget all these
not for the sake of any country. We all know that, as all the time President Sisi is calling them the powers of evil, who are wanting who want all the time to have the planet on fire, and to have all the time people fighting together for this illegal, forbidden, disastrous trade. Sir, as we speak also, the Israeli army said that they are tactically posing their war in certain and specific areas in Gaza for the humanitarian aid or the humanitarian convoys. But now nobody can trust them after having the death traps for the food seekers. I don't think that some of the statements like that they will respect, or this is something different, or I can say that this is a positive step and on the right direction. Which is which, sir?
As a matter of fact, we are fighting and dealing with many fronts at the same time. But if we put a priority, if we put the priorities of what we are thinking about, then our first priority is to stop the war. People should live, because they are killing children, and it means the future of the Palestinians, the children. 70% of the victims are children or women or old people.
Yeah.
Then if we stop the war as first priority, then our second priority is to feed them, to send them water, to send them medicine, and to send them fuel.
Yeah.
This is our second. Third, then it comes to enter into peace negotiations to find a final solution. But here I am not optimistic at all with such a type of government.
Mm. But, sir, with the statements released by the UNRWA, the WHO, the UN, different UN organizations speaking about using starvation as a weapon, about the malnutrition and the famine in Gaza, about the children who were dying because of malnutrition and starvation, how do you see the impact of these statements on the international community? Don't you think that they are going to play a role in pressuring Israel not to continue this way?
It is very well received, all these declarations, especially after the Secretary General of the United Nations visited Rafah interests twice, and he's repeating in all his speeches in the United Nations that this should be stopped. And the United Nations representatives are not just saying this, but they are killed. Israel is killing the United Nations representatives, whether in the UNRWA or the peace process witness. So the United Nations, I mean, the staff of the United Nations is totally with the Palestinian question, because they are themselves suffering from this Israeli treatment. But after all, 54 countries voted with the Palestinian question, but as you well know, the veto is stopping all this. We have a very amazing situation when 14 members in the United Nations Security Council asked to stop the war, and one country doesn't want to stop the war. It is an amazing position, how they can explain this to themselves, how they can explain this to the public opinion or to international public opinion.
You know, sir, some politicians are saying that let's use the American president wish to win the Nobel Peace Prize and to see if we can ask him to do this miracle to achieve peace or to reach a peaceful settlement for the Israeli-Palestinian cause, and then this is going to be his way to Nobel Peace Prize. This is my final question.
This is a sort of a joke, by the way. The man doesn't hide his hatred to our people. He doesn't hide his hatred to his own friends. He started his first 100 days by gaining more and more enemies from Europe, from China, and China, by the way, is the largest partner in trade with the United Nations.
Yeah.
China is the largest owner of dollar reserve, and even so he's fighting against his own supporters and his own partner in international trade. So to give him a Nobel Prize, good for him, but it's still, in my opinion, a bad joke.
Let's wait and see, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day.
Thank you.
We were very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Now we are going to go with our colleague Dina Yunus to dive into our old Egyptian civilization and know more about its magic.